Hello everybody. As I get this channel started, I really wanted to cover briefly, somewhat briefly, how I score swords in my reviews and what those scores mean. In any review I do of a sword, I really focus only on two major aspects, things that I consider very big. And that's aesthetics and functionality. So aesthetics obviously being how the sword looks. Is it designed well in terms of visual appeal? Is it maybe unique looking? And functionality, is it usable as a sword? And certainly a sword from a functionality standpoint is very important because it's a tool. If you have a tool that you can't use, what good is it? Obviously with some sort of decorative sword, aesthetics would outweigh that. But I try to keep those things fairly equal, and I think any sword that doesn't have good functionality probably won't review it very high. There's two other things that I would potentially add into a review. They would only be in the conclusion section because it's neither really aesthetics or functionality. It's instead something of personal interest or maybe historical significance. So my examples there would be if I had like an 18th century saber that was actually used, has some sort of historical significance. That would obviously, I would take that into account and factor that into my review. And then of course with something that's personal, whether it's not really personal taste so much, because obviously review is always going to be personal taste, but maybe of something personal significance. So the example I can give there is my Albion Gallo glass. Because I view that very much as representative of my own personal heritage, being of an Irish descent, and certainly an Irish namesake. And so that would be something that I would find important, the personal or the historical significance. And I try not to let those inflate my scores, and certainly I call it out, and I will always call it out in the conclusion section. And if it does make a score change, I would certainly make special note of that so people can understand how I'm arriving at the score. So anyway, as the score is concerned, it's of course very subjective, right? It is my opinion in my review, so I want to just cover what the scores actually mean, and you'll see it, right here at the bottom. You'll see the sword icons pop up, and you'll see this in my reviews, and I do a score 1 through 5 basically. And so 1 is basically I am advising against buying the sword. In my opinion, at best it would be an SLO, a sword-like object, or a wall hanger as some people like to call it. And I wouldn't advise anybody to really invest any money into that sword. If it gets a score of 2, I don't really have high praise for the sword at that point. I don't think that the piece that you're getting is really worth the price that you're spending. And I think that this is probably the highest score an SLO could possibly get. 3 is the median score. It's the average. What this basically means when you see a 3 out of 5 is that this is probably the very best you could hope for at the price point. You're getting exactly what you're paying for, and it's not necessary that I recommend the sword at the score, but that I think you'd at least be getting maybe a functional piece or something of value. So dollar for dollar, I think that you'd get your money's worth. At a score of 4 out of 5, I'm recommending it for purchase at that point, really. I would say for a collector or practitioner, it's not the absolute must-have, but it's really high up there, and I would suggest with that rating that it's something that I would buy again in a heartbeat. I wouldn't reconsider. If I had the money in my pocket and I didn't own the item, I would buy it. And then of course 5 out of 5, the highest possible score. This would be reserved for something that I cannot give it anything but the highest praise. And it would have to essentially be the perfect sword. Again, in my opinion, subjectively, it would be beautiful, it would be functional, and more than likely it would either have some sort of historical or very personal significance. And at a 5 out of 5, I basically am telling you, if you got the money, go buy it. I'm scrolling through some notes here because I don't want to miss anything. What I think that you'll find in most of my sword reviews is that I'll end up really getting it into a score range of 3 or 4. Keeping in mind, again, this is my opinion, it's completely subjective. Additionally, I would like to note that I am not incentivized financially or otherwise by any sword company, resellers, organizations to sway me in my opinion or my reviews. These are absolutely subjective, but also with the tinge of trying to be objective in how I score them. So I try not to go too far one way or the other with a pendulum swing. I try to go right down the center so everybody knows exactly what I'm rating a sword at and understands what that really means in terms of my suggestions. In other reviews that I might do on this channel, whether it be books or movies or armor, anything and everything that is medieval or from the Middle Ages, it's certainly subject to me wanting to review it. I will admit that I will probably periodically delve into late Roman era and Renaissance periods, but I try to keep close to the name of this channel, which is mostly medieval reviews. But when I do review anything else, the score criteria will be pretty much the same. Again, on a scale of 1 to 5, I would, at a 1 out of 5, I would advise against it, not worth your time, not worth your money. At a 2 out of 5, I certainly don't have high praise for it, but it might be at least something valuable in some respect. 3 out of 5 is again a median score. I'm really neither suggesting that it's great or terrible, but really it's worth the time and money or whatever it may be at value, and you're not really getting anything beyond that. A 4 out of 5 is at that point a recommendation by me. I say, hey, this is an amazing thing. You should totally check it out. And a 5 out of 5 is something that I'm basically fully endorsing. And again, it's the highest praise I can give it. And of course, another way you can put it is if the scale is 1 to 5, you've got terrible, bad, good, great, and perfect. And I will always call out the specifics of what aspects of the reviewed item I'm really speaking to. Certainly items that are analogous to swords, such as other types of weapon or armor, or anything that's a kind of a physical purchase item, will have some similar criteria that I have to swords, right? Armor being an example, it's got to be functional if I'm really going to give it a good high score. And if it's something like films or books, I'm probably going to be treating them very independently of each other, especially if you have books that have been turned into films. And I would often score history books and fiction books to their respective purposes. And again, in the review process, I would be calling out those aspects. Finally, just some notes on this channel itself. As you watch my videos, and I mean, they're going to be slow coming out because generally speaking, they take some time to produce. I would encourage you to hit the like button. I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel, share the videos on social media, and certainly comment. I'd love to interact with people in the comments on YouTube specifically. And I'd also love suggestions or requests of things to review. The one note I would have is that these videos that I'll be making, besides this one, certainly take a lot of time and effort to produce for me to be happy enough with it to want to post on YouTube. And so all these things, whether it's the comments, the likes, the subscriptions to my channel, these all encourage me in this process. And certainly the success of this channel is dependent on viewership. And I'm not financially dependent on this channel, nor do I really have any plans to be. This is just something I'm going to be doing as a hobby because I love it, I enjoy it, and I really think that there's something I can add of value to the community of people who are interested in the Middle Ages and medieval things. However, I am monetizing the videos so I can get a small amount of revenue. This is really, again, I'm not dependent on it. It helps with maybe the purchase here and there of small items that I can review or film equipment that will obviously feed right back into making quality videos for this channel. I'm already working on the next couple of reviews. I just received my Albion ring deck, and I've done a little bit of video for that review already, but I have a lot to go, and I still have to actually write the review since I've only had it for a couple of days at this point. I'm also working on my Hanwei Claymore. That video is underway. I've done a lot of shooting for it. And I'm hoping to have that done by next week, but we'll really see. But that's really it. Those are things that I have coming out rather soon. Again, thank you for taking the time to watch anything on this channel, and obviously thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, and again, thank you for watching.